I had an experience so vivid that I am hesitant to talk about it. But just know, I had an experience that was so loving, so vivid, so unique. I've never heard of this type of shit happening before. You know, only love is real. And the experience that I had was one of the realest experiences I've ever had. It was love at the forefront of everything. I still feel high on life, high on possibilities. It's an immense feeling, you know? Hey you guys, thank you for tapping into this video. I'm very excited to talk about the radical forgiveness and other aspects of that and my personal experience with radical forgiveness. Also, if you didn't know, I have a YouTube master course and consultation services available on my website, alchemyofcreation.org. So if you guys are interested in checking those out and working with me personally, definitely click the link in the description box down below and hop on over there, because I'm really excited to be launching new services and I really enjoy talking to people and getting to know them and all that good stuff. So other than that, let's get into the video. The reason that I am here is because radical forgiveness is something that I've heard of over the course of X amount of years, and I'm certain that all of us have heard the term. But do you know how to define that shit? Does anybody know like the definition of it? Many people probably don't, and it took me a while to find out what exactly the definition of it was, and that was something that I had to do research on before I even started this video, because I'm like, I don't even know what the difference is between traditional forgiveness and radical forgiveness. Like, is that even a real thing? And it took me a while, but I found this article that discusses, well, it was an interview between two guys, I think. I don't know who they were exactly, but one of them gave a very good example as to what radical forgiveness is. So I'm going to read that to you guys. Radical forgiveness basically asks us to bring some sort of compassion to the situation, pretty similar to how traditional forgiveness would. Typically, it's like you must put yourself in the other person's shoes to see possibly why they did the things that they did and how this whole situation between the two of you guys played out the way that it did. Another thing that I want to note away from this is that the book that I just finished reading, The Mastery of Self, talks a lot about conditioning, as in domestication and attachments that we have developed as we were kids and how that affects us in our adult lives. And so with conditioning, he basically said that domestication is a belief that you were given as a child, and even into your adult life, this still takes place, but a belief that was presented to you and you were either rewarded or punished for adopting that belief. Any kind of belief that you were given as a child, and if you were punished for not adopting, let's say, Christianity, then you would clearly have some sort of trauma in relation to that. So it's always really important to be able to step outside of yourself and to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, no matter what trauma has occurred. And that really just helps you get a clearer vision on how exactly the things that took place between you two really transpired. Then he goes on to say, but what makes radical forgiveness different is that with traditional forgiveness, we are still holding on to the idea that something wrong happened. Radical forgiveness rests on this following principle, that everything that happens to us actually happens for us. There's a reason for everything that does happen. Nothing that has ever happened to us is without purpose and without some sort of gift for us in spiritual terms. I'm certain that we've all heard the phrase, blank didn't happen to us, it happened for us. And that can be something that is super hard to digest. I'ma just be completely honest, super fucking hard to digest. People don't want to hear that. People want to blame. People want to point the finger. And like, we've all been there. I've had conversations where I'm like expressing these things, and people will just get super like, what's the word I'm looking for? People will basically then project animosity towards me because of I'm saying things that they aren't ready to receive, which is understandable. But I think that eventually, like, when you do the work, like, you will eventually reach the point where you are able, well, I don't know, it's different for different people. I don't want to speak for people. I can only speak for myself. I know for me, that's how it's played out. Like, I've gotten to the point where I've been able to reframe these situations in my mind and think about them in different lights. And with that, there's less resistance. But we're going to talk about that a little later. So in response to what I was saying about everything that happens to us, more so happens for us, I'm going to say that I believe we plan our traumas. I believe, well, for one, I talk about past life regression. I haven't talked about it too much, and I actually am planning on interviewing my past life regression therapist sometime soon. I gotta hit her up. She's amazing. Y'all are gonna love her. So if you guys have questions, you can leave them in the comment section down below, because I would love to make sure you guys are excited for that video. But after reading Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian L. Weiss, that's my main man right there, bro. I cannot wait to go to one of his events in July. Super excited. But he's an author and a doctor, and he basically in the 80s experienced his first past life regression with one of his clients. And this client basically had very severe traumas. Like she don't quote me on this, but she had like severe depression. I know that. She had claustrophobia. I think she had like epilepsy, or like just various different types of issues and mental health problems that made her everyday life a living fucking hell. And so literally it took her forever, but people were like, you should go to this doctor, you should go to this doctor. Eventually she goes to this doctor, and they're working together for a year in traditional therapy, and she doesn't see any results. So Dr. Brian Weiss, he's like, why don't we do hypnotherapy? And I've talked about hypnotherapy before. I fucking love hypnotherapy. I would totally recommend it to everybody. Love hypnotherapy. And so in her first hypnotherapy session, Shawty starts, he tells her to go back to her earliest memory of like, I'm loosely transcribing this, but like her earliest memory of like fear or like intense anxiety, just something. Shawty starts describing a lifetime that is not of her own. She's like, I'm a woman in the Middle East, and my child is in my hands, and we're standing in front of like a marble temple, and the people are panicking. People are like running back towards the other way, and all of a sudden like a giant tidal wave just comes and crashes over the whatever, the temple, whatever it was, and she basically drowns with her baby in her arms, and she's been carrying that guilt for lifetimes. And that was one of the sources of her intense anxiety and guilt. She had a lot of guilt as well. And Dr. Brian Weiss is like, excuse the fuck out of me. What are you explaining to me? What are you describing right now? And of course he wasn't like this isn't real. He was just like really like, this is the 80s. I've barely ever heard about past life regressions. We barely talk about past lives. Like, how am I to understand what this is as a doctor? That book changed my life. One of my favorite books. I actually have a link in the description box down below of all of my Amazon recommends if you guys want to see all the books that I rave about all the time. Dr. Brian Weiss, he's written like 6 other books, and all of them are so phenomenal. It definitely gives you a whole different perspective. It definitely got rid of my fear of death. Like, I'm not going to say like I look forward to dying, but like, dying is not what we have perceived it to be. And I'm saying all this to say that I believe we chose our traumas. And there's another book that I read. It's called The Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael P. Newton, or it just might be Michael Newton, not sure. But he's done so many past life regressions, and he has books on individual ones. But in this book, he basically shows us the life cycle, and like what our process is like after we die. Who do we meet? Where do we go after that? We're meeting our soul family again after we've experienced a lifetime. It's very interesting, and he explains the different journeys of different souls. So it's like new souls and how they develop and how they act, and then like, you know, the intermediate and then the more advanced souls. Everybody has different aura fields. Like the yellows are like the newer souls, and like the purple is like the older ones, more advanced. It gets fucking deep. But we go through the process of choosing our bodies. We choose our families. Everybody's like, people be like, oh, I didn't ask to be here. No, nigga, you actually stood in line to be here. Like, you actually plan to come here and you plan to do all these things and you plan to learn certain things within this lifetime. And some people succeed at what they wanted to learn for themselves and some people don't. And that's why you have to go into another life cycle and see if you can get it right again. That's why we experience certain things like dreams are very symbolic. Our spiritual team is trying to talk to us at all times. And so it's really up to us to listen, because people can get so far off of their path that it's like, damn, like you gonna have to start all over like again. Like you want to come back here again? Like with the way the earth is looking right now, like, you know, but regardless, I know you guys see what I'm saying. So I get very passionate talking about past life regression. I love it so much. But with that being said, yes. And for me to even kind of more support the fact of what I'm talking about when I say we choose our traumas, the way that it's described in The Journey of Souls, he basically talks about there's like a soul bus stop, we're going to say. And at this soul bus stop is, let's just say, envision you at a bus stop with like 8 other people waiting to get on this bus to take your journey to Earth. Everybody at this bus stop is having casual conversation, and they're like, "Oh, what are you gonna go down to Earth to learn? What are you gonna go down to Earth to learn? Like, what's your journey? What are you looking to achieve?" And so I say, I want to really learn how to forgive other people for the hurt that they caused me. And then they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, how are you going to do that?" I'm like, "Well, I think that I want to get into like a really bad car crash and like be paralyzed from the neck down." And everybody's like, damn. And then I was like, "Well," and then I'll have to go throughout the journey of forgiving the driver X, Y, and Z. And then everybody at the bus stop gets quiet. I'm literally telling you guys how it's written in the book. And so then I ask, after everybody gets super silent, can anyone be the driver? And then niggas is like, shit. And then somebody in the back is like, I will, because my goal in this lifetime is to really figure out how to forgive myself. And then everyone gets on the bus, and then you fucking go down to Earth and you forget everything. You forget everything. You forget everything. And everything that we learn, everything that we pick up in this lifetime is solely just us remembering things we already know. That's all any aspect of education is. I want to go to school to get my Tantra certification. I'm so excited for that. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. I want to go to school to get my Tantra certification. Like that is an example. And so the knowledge that I will gain from that is just a reawakening within me and my soul of information that I already knew. So yes. And with that being said, we choose our traumas. And that might be hard for people to digest. But because I used to ask, why me? I used to be like, why did this happen to me? And it's so much easier to digest difficult shit when you reframe how you view it in your mind in the first place. Because, bruh, this is another question that I asked myself fairly recently, and follow me when I say this. How much of what we perceive is our brain trying to make up for what is not really there? I'm going to say that again. How much of what we perceive is our brain trying to make up for what is not really there? Our mind makes up scenarios of things that we are not even aware of. Like basically pretty much the only thing that you can acknowledge that is real and that exists is like the things that you can see right in front of you, that you can taste, you can hear, you can smell, you can X, Y, and Z. Like these construction workers that are working on this loud ass development near my house, they exist, but like once they've left for the day, like in my perception, in my field of existence, they do not exist. My mom is on vacation in California right now. Like she don't really exist. My mind is telling me, hey, she's in California. That's why she's not in front of us. That's why we can't hear her. We can't touch her. You know what I mean? So There's a lot of different aspects, and I'm just saying all that to say that everything that you feel, everything that you experience is based on how your mind is perceiving that thing. If you think your waiter has an attitude with you, you might just be perceiving that your waiter has an attitude with you, and it might not even be true. They might have just had a long day, and they might honestly feel like they are presenting their best self to you right now, despite the fact that they've had a long day. Like, like everything is made up in our mind is what I'm trying to say. So the next thing I want to talk about is my experience with radical forgiveness. That's really what has prompted this entire YouTube video. In January, I had I had an experience so vivid that I am hesitant to talk about it. So I'm not going to tell y'all exactly what happened, but just know I had an experience that was so loving, so vivid, so unique. I've never heard of this type of shit happening before. Only love is real. And the experience that I had was one of the realest experiences I've ever fucking had. It was love at the forefront of everything. To give a little backstory, I came face to face with somebody who really hurt me. And it wasn't planned. We just ran into each other. And I was able to forgive them and to really feel what it feels like to forgive. Because another thing is that you work towards things. You work towards forgiveness, things like that. You can, recite affirmations. You can pray for people. You can do a lot of different things directed towards the action of forgiving this person. But it is not the type of thing that you can just flick on a switch. It's not. It's the type of thing that you just, when you experience it, you experience it. It's not a choice, pretty much. Like, you can choose to put behind the action of reframing and doing all the things that I've been talking about and understanding and stepping outside of yourself, X, Y, and Z. But I don't think that you choose to forgive people. You just choose to work towards it. But once forgiveness is really at the door, it will arrive. And it will enter you, It was such a unique experience that I was actually hesitant to share about it with some of the people that are very close to me, not my friends, because I told them, and they were very supportive of me, but just other people who were really close to me, because it's something that I've never heard of. And another thing was that I didn't want to talk about it on YouTube because people be weird, for one. People like to discredit the traumas that people experience because of the way that somebody will react in that trauma. So it's like, oh, if your father was physically abusive to you, why didn't you say or do anything sooner? And it's like, nigga, the types of like domestication and like the types of conditioning that people undergo, everyone is so unique with the way that they handle things. So that was one of the reasons that I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to hear niggas' mouths. Second reason is because this is such a unique and sensitive experience and topic of what I experienced, both the trauma and the forgiveness of it. I knew that some people who have experienced a similar trauma would actually be jealous of the immense healing that I received from this person. So, with that being said, I don't know if I'll ever talk about it, like exactly word for word what happened and who and shit like that. But just know, I wish that kind of healing for everybody. That shit was fucking fire. What was the next thing I was gonna talk about? So yeah, that was my experience, and that was why I wanted to talk about this in a YouTube video. When I was looking shit up on YouTube, I'm like, don't nobody really talk about radical forgiveness? Like, I watched like 3 videos and niggas couldn't even explain what it was. So I was just like, all right, let's shine a light on somebody. Let's give somebody maybe a sign for what they might be looking for. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is that with time comes less resistance. Boy, if that's not the realest fucking thing ever, bruh. Like, and I don't want to consider myself an impatient person, but I've had a history of impatience. And so, like, when I was younger and I would hear that kind of shit, like, what did they say? With time comes all healing or some shit like that. Like, I didn't, damn, that son just ducked and weaved. That honestly was not the advice that I wanted to hear, because I felt the way that I felt at that time, and a nigga was impatient. But I'm actually reading the book Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. When I look at people, like, I can see like their inner child. It was funny, I was talking to AB about this, and I was like, damn, like, why did so many of the adults in our lives growing up, like, not even just, this extends beyond family, this is like teachers and the fucking political people and shit, like why were they pitching like they knew best because they were older? But it's like, you can be old in age but not old in mindset, bruh. And y'all know families be holding on to shit, bruh. The way that people be holding on to shit, absolutely crazy. Could not fucking be me. I be seeing people and I'm like, bruh, this is the action of your inner child. Your inner, immature, still very deeply hurt child. And the way that, like, niggas is not trying to progress to anything better, niggas is still pointing a finger, I'm like, okay, this is when I start to back away. And then niggas get mad at me for backing away. Like, I can't be around that. I can't be around that. Like, you can't be around me and, like, have repressed issues that of memories you have that of shit that I said when I was 15. Like, nigga, say it, bring it up, let's talk about it. Like, regardless, with time comes less resistance, and I've personally experienced this, and I enjoy feeling the resistance being lifted, because I used to not want to speak to certain people in my family. I would be very, like, hostile. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Hostile. I would be very hostile towards the thought of even doing that. And now, as I've gotten older, I see things. I see things more clearly. I've realized that I would actually love to have a conversation with this person. I just appreciate the fact that, for me, I can tell I've changed, even if that other person has not. Another thing is, I will not hold people to the same standard that I held them to 2 years ago or 4 months ago. People change, and especially when you're not currently in their life, people change in ways you don't know. And honestly, really sit back and ask yourself, am I resistant to speaking to this person because I am perceiving them to be the same person that they were X amount of years ago, X amount of months ago? Because, and I think that that's why I don't experience the resistance, because it's like, I don't know what kind of person my father is, for example. Like, I've talked about him enough. I don't know what kind of person he is. And I think that, well, the last time I spoke to him, I told him I missed him. And his response was, prove it. He said, no emotion over here. Come correct or not at all. Gratitude. Somebody just cash apped me. Yeah. So that was the last time I spoke to my father. And, I acknowledge that was the last time I spoke to him, and that's what he said. But I don't perceive that to be who he is now. Like, in the event that he initiates conversation with me, I'm not going to be, I don't think I'll be on the fence. I think I'll just be observant and, like, really paying attention. But I don't think that I'm not going to enter that conversation, like, thinking that he's going to be like, oh, I don't have any emotion for you, like, X, Y, and Z. So, and even if he does, and, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. So, yeah. I was going to say, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. So if you didn't enjoy it, that's on you. Other than that, like I said earlier, I have more services on alchemyofcreation.org. I would love to work with more people, would love to work with y'all one-on-one. I have amazing reviews on my website for the people that have booked consultations, and I have a YouTube master course on there as well. And I'm excited to like share that with the world because it's been a long time coming. And you guys DM me telling me your life story and then asking for my advice. So here's an opportunity where you can actually tell me your life story and then ask for my advice. Yeah, I think that I'm gonna relaunch the Brown Girl the Brand website so you guys can actually purchase t-shirts through there. Let me know what you think about that. Because I have a few more left and I would love to get those off my hands. I'm still working on my manuscript. Very excited to share that with the world. If you know some publishing companies or if you're an agent, please email me. But yeah, other than that, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, same as always, and you guys will see me in the next video. Peace.
It's the lullaby straight till the morning. Oh, how we keep it going. This love is only moments, girl. And you know I'm carrying the world. So just fuck me.